Well, how's it going, podcast, YouTube world? Welcome back to another episode of Fish Forest. And we've got a special guest with us today. The one and only other half of me, besides my wife, genetically other half of me, Christopher Karras, Christopher Alexander Karras the first. Join us on the podcast.
How's it going?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you?
Doing great. Happy to be here. Glad
to have you. And Camper is in the house as well. The other Karras dog, the golden retriever. Anyways, so Christopher's here for a good reason. I'm starting to want to branch out in the storytelling realm a little bit, and this was kind of where the podcast idea originated from last year. So we're right at a year of doing the podcast. It was last February when I made the first episode, and one of the goals behind it had been to tell stories, hunting and fishing stories, and we've done that a little bit, but it's somewhere between the here's what we're doing that works and doesn't work. Here's some tournament stories. You've gotten some of the story aspect from like other guys that we've been fishing tournaments with. But as fishermen and hunters and everything else that we are, not just we are, but just the people that are in this community, everybody has a lot of stories. And we've got funny stories, scary stories, terrifying, and success stories to tell. And those are fun to tell. And I love telling stories. I don't think anybody starts a podcast that doesn't consider themselves, at least to some extent, to be a talker. But one thing I'm wanting to do this year is to find those of us that have cool stories that they want to share. So I'll have a whole little separate video explaining this. But mainly, just if you've got a cool story that you would like to tell the world through the humble Fins to Forest channel, then we would love to have you on to tell it. And I figured who better to start off a night of storytelling with than the person who I've gotten 22 years worth of hunting and fishing stories together with.
Absolutely.
It seemed fitting. So we've got a couple that we'll share. Christopher and Anna, his wife, have swung by the house tonight. And so we figured we'd take advantage of it. So we'll start off real quick. Verse of the day, and it's a fitting one. It comes from Psalms 133, verse 1. A song of ascents of David. Behold how good and how pleasant it is for brothers to dwell together in unity. Not just brothers, but Christian brothers.
And also brother brothers.
To dwell together in unity. And that's what we're doing now. And we hope that that's what you all can do with your brothers, whether it's your blood brothers or your Christian brothers. All right. So, there's really no intro to this. I mean, we've got a few stories in mind. I'm sure we'll think of some as we go. But when you think back to, I didn't think about this. What's the first fishing memory you have at all?
The first fishing memory ever?
Yeah. You may see us in here snacking on some oatmeal cookies as we go.
It may be, I know what it is.
Okay.
Fishing at Miss Loretta's.
That's okay.
It's the first time I remember it. And I remember we went with Grandmommy and Granddaddy. Dad was probably there too. And I remember you had already jumped out and they were getting me out of the car. And about the time I stepped off the driveway into the grass, you came back and you had a fish. And that's the first thing that I remember about fishing, my first experience.
And I think I remember fishing up there, obviously. This is a place that we get chased off from sometimes if we try to go now. You have to be a member of the homeowners association to fish this pond. And it doesn't matter if you know a member of the homeowners association. They have to be with you. When you fish it, which is ridiculous. Spread the wealth, people. This pond, it's in a very nice area. And it's still got a lot of fish in it.
Yeah, and these people aren't fishing it.
And they're not fishing it. But by gosh, they're keeping you from fishing it. Turd head and the black tundra. Anyways, yeah, I think I remember taking like a little bitty clown colored jerkbait up there. I don't know if it was that trip or not. I don't remember that necessarily. But there were lots of trips to Miss Loretta's pond.
Well, the thing I remember the most was catfish fishing.
Yeah.
Granddaddy was always wanting to catch some catfish when we were over there. So that was fun too.
That's true. And what I remember about Loretta's pond was that's the first place that I ever had any experience with sight fishing. Because it was probably April and it was gin clear. And I remember making a lap around the pond. And they were just full out spawning. And you'd walk about 10 feet and like, oh, there's a fish. Walk 10, there's a fish, and there's a fish, there's a fish. I think we caught, I remember like 20-something, which I was probably in elementary school. No, there's no way I know it in high school. I bet I probably wasn't even in middle school. But it was just so cool. It didn't matter what you threw because they never got fished for. And so you just like, oh, there's a fish, boom, pow, and they swim over and grab it, and you're like, this is so easy. And I didn't even realize what they were doing at the time. I don't think. But yeah, that was fun.
It was a honey hole.
We've got yeah, for sure. And then I went one time in high school. My buddy that lived in that neighborhood, we took his little pedal boat, like the little, I don't know what you call it, but
I think that's right.
Yeah, I don't know which one. It's like the little Bass Pro brand pedal boat you see at all the ponds. And we put 4 people on it. I didn't get on it because I knew it was going to be a bad idea. But I have a picture of 4. It's on my Instagram. If you go like way, way back, I think that's where I put it at. I called it like the SS capsize or something. Because, there's about that much of a gap between the water and the top of the boat. Like 4 of them were pedaling this little pedal boat across the middle of the pond. None of them were fishermen. They didn't have a rod in the boat. They were just came because I begged them to let me come fish. But yeah, that was a good. Yeah, that's a good one. I don't know thought of that.
The second one probably that I remember was being at Norris and in the rain. And I think you broke off a really big fish that day.
It jumped off. Yeah.
But I didn't see it because I was in the storage locker.
Yeah.
Because of the rain.
That was our Bass Cat. So we had the first boat that I remember having was a Bass Cat. We had a Norris Crab. When I was born, Dad had a red and black Champion, and he sold it. And at one point bought an orange and white Norris Craft. But the first boat that I really remember was a Bass Cat because I was in middle school, probably, maybe late elementary school or middle school when he bought it. I was probably in elementary school.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And I remember him calling us when we were at Nana and Papa's house saying, hey, I'm driving out there to see you all, but there's a boat in the rearview mirror that won't leave me alone. I was like, oh my gosh, you bought a boat. And because we'd gone to look at it. But yeah, we had pulled that morning. You had a baseball game.
Really?
You had like I don't know if it's T-ball or coach pitch or what.
I don't remember that. It would probably have been T-ball.
You either had a game or practice because we didn't have, there was a reason we had to leave when we were leaving. But it started to rain, and we pulled all the tackle out and put him in the compartment. And I hooked like a 6 or 7 pounder, which on Norris is huge. It would have by far been the biggest fish I had ever caught. Because I set the hook, and I was like, Dad, I'm hung in this bush. And so we go trolling up to the tree, and he said, I don't think you're hung, and my line's just peeling off to the side. And I think I just probably stood there and watched.
I think you got it up.
And this fish, yeah, well, we were close because we trolled to it. I think it had just grabbed it sitting in the tree, and we just crawled right up to it, and it swam. When it started swimming off with it, I just remember I can still see it coming up and jumping, and its mouth is about the size of a 55-gallon drum, and it comes up and jumps, and I was like, oh my gosh, and I can remember hearing the sound of the weight hit the side of the boat, just think, and I just started bawling.
He folded.
I was so upset, and Dad was just laughing because he thought it was so cool we even hooked one that big. And I was just like sobbing uncontrollably in the rain. Dad was probably ticked we were in the rain. And then Christopher was like,
I remember seeing Sam folded over on his hands and knees. I peeked out of my rod locker, and he was there in the floor in front of me.
Yeah.
Bad. He was heartbroken.
That was bad. But we've had some good big fish stories. Dad in Florida.
Yeah. Biggest
that
fish
was a big one
I've seen caught in person.
And probably the biggest fish he's ever caught.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good one.
That was St. John's River. We went down Christmas break because I had a college tournament there that next month. And he caught it was probably a 8-pounder.
Yeah, probably.
On a lizard.
Close to that.
And in the distorted GoPro picture of Christopher holding it might as well weigh 17 pounds because it's as long as he is.
As long as I can hold it out.
Yeah, I was like, let's see how big we can make these fish look. I was that person for a while. Like, let's see how big we can make these fish look on GoPro. And so he's back, and he's got it.
Oh yeah,
long arm.
That was a great picture.
And the head of it is that big around. I mean, it was huge. Because Dad had some pictures where he's like, let Christopher hold it and really make it look big.
Yeah, that was fun.
That was one of the more jovial moments of that trip.
Mm-hmm.
Dad and I this is the thing about me and fishing with my dad is we can't fish together if we're bass fishing because we are totally different mentality. Like if there's not a tournament coming up and we're just fun fishing, I don't really know how to fun fish very well. Like if I'm not catching them, I'm not having fun. Dad, you could hand him a buzz bait and a riprap bank and say, "Have a nice day." And he would troll up and down it all day long and he would never get a bite and be totally content. Where I am about to come out of my mind with that kind of stuff. But so we were down there, and in my mind, I'm practicing for the tournament that's a month away, which was kind of goofy. And Dad's just like, "We're just fishing in Florida. This is great." And so they would have to go to the hotel for a while in the middle of the day and let me go and get it out of my system. Because also, if you drive the boat faster than 35 miles an hour, you're going too fast. He's probably listening. I don't care. He knows this about himself. About the time you get it on pad, "Hey, bud, might want to ease off of it a little bit. Like that, if I slow down, we're not going to be able to run. We're going to be shutting down." But anyways, St. John's River was a lot of fun. It was a good time.
That was the darkest water I've ever seen.
Yeah.
It was like you were fishing in a lake full of Coke.
That was
really bizarre.
That was both of our first experiences with that. What do you call it? Tannic water? I can't think right now. But that Florida dark water. Like, I don't see how they could ever find anything to eat at all. And then you watch Chris Zaldain catch him on a jerkbait in the black water, and you're like, there you go.
Yeah.
But, yeah, anyways, St. John's River was fun. That was a good time. I don't know. What else we got?
The hunting stories. When I think of infamous days in
Yeah.
our entire sporting lifetime, that from start to finish, that's probably
That's
the
up
most
there.
eventful day.
For sure. Yeah.
So we started off the day late. We're
Yeah.
running a little late.
Which I hate.
And so we're getting
Because
there.
I missed a turn. This is the least that I've
I
hunted
see.
for a couple of years.
I don't think I even knew that.
And I missed the turn because it was we were kind of in the middle of nowhere. And getting off of, 111, I guess. I'm supposed to turn right at the Dollar General, and I just blazed on by because the Dollar General light was off. And normally the sign's on. And I made it to McMinnville Hospital before I was like, crap. I missed the turn.
I do remember that.
And so we turned around, and it was raining. Go ahead. So that's why we were late.
We're in Dad's Dodge. We're in Dad's old, not old, but he doesn't have it anymore.
Yeah, old bucktooth Dodge.
Yeah. Well, it became Bucktooth that morning because it was a little wet and we were a little late. We were seeing deer right and left.
Yeah.
I mean, we probably passed 20 or 30 deer that morning.
I was freaking out. It was youth season, so I wasn't hunting.
Yeah, it was the last day that I could hunt youth before, because it was right near my birthday and I was about to turn 17.
Yeah.
I was still 16 until like the next day or something. So it was my last chance to youth
His
hunt.
birthday's November 2nd, and this was either like October 31st or November 1st.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we come wheeling around the corner and I just hear Sam go, crap, 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 crap. Hold on. Crap, 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 crap. Bam! Right into the telephone pole. Right in the center of the truck.
Because the tires are already slicker than crap. I mean, there is no tread on them at all. And we're passing all these deer, and I'm thinking, crap, we have got to get there. And because about the time we made it to the Dollar General turn was about the time we should have been in the woods. So we finally get going. And yeah, it was just, you come up over a hill and it bends to the right, and we just didn't bend to the right. I turned and it just broke loose.
Dead.
I'm like, crap.
So we got out, made sure it wasn't hitting the tires. The tires could still turn and be fine.
Yeah.
And the telephone pole hadn't fallen over yet.
It was broken.
It was broken about 3/4 of the way up.
It was cracked
It
hard.
was splintered about like that, but it wasn't broken. And so we headed on our merry way.
I called Dad. I called him, and I was like, hey, which anytime we're away, or if I'm away fishing and Dad gets a call at a weird time, he has to assume something has gone wrong. And so he answers his phone. He's like, yeah. I was like, hey, we're okay, but we kind of just broke the telephone pole with the truck. He's like, is the truck still running? I said, yeah. He said, all right, we'll worry about it when you get home. I was like, really? Okay, sweet. Thanks. And so we went on, and there you go. So we finally made it.
You put me in the funnel.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting.
Which is the easiest
The
walk.
easiest walk.
Had you ever been there before?
Yeah. I think I've been there once.
That trip where we didn't see any for like 4 days.
Yeah.
In the cold.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we pulled up. It's raining lightly. I gave him the gun. I was like, walk in there and just sit down. I stayed in the truck and watched Friends on my phone because I hadn't finished Friends yet. And I couldn't hunt. So
Right. So I get in there, I'm sitting there and I'm like, I don't know how long I can wait. So I was, I didn't want to shoot a small deer. I didn't want to not shoot. I just wanted to shoot something.
Because you never killed one.
I never killed one. It was my last day of youth season. And so I'm sitting there and I was probably sitting for an hour and a half or so. I think it wasn't too long. And a spike comes through. And I'm like, you know what? It's like, I think I'm just going to shoot it. I don't know. And so I get ready. I get my gun up. And I made a crucial rookie mistake. I hadn't loaded yet. I'm using a bolt action gun. So it took a few minutes and I'm loading. And I finally get it back and I get aimed and he's standing perfect. He's almost perfectly broadside. And I squeeze and I'm like, okay, hold your breath and squeeze really slow so you don't pull it up. And I squeeze and I squeeze and I squeeze and it stops squeezing and nothing happens. And I was like, crap. And so I realized later that when I had tried to load it so slow, I hadn't pushed the bolt all the way forward.
Well, it's just like a sliding. It's not a bolt. It's just a sliding rack. Or not, I don't know how you explain. It's just it's a semi-mac where you literally you pop the magazine in and you just go and it happens since you were going slow. It just didn't.
It didn't click that last.
There's that one extra little hill you got to get over to really actually get it loaded.
Yeah. So I didn't do that, and that was a bust.
So I'm sitting there watching Netflix on my phone, and he texts me. He's like, "Crap! This freaking gun doesn't shoot." And I'd shot the gun. I had not killed one with this gun yet because I don't know if this was the year or the year after. When I was in my hardcore bow hunting phase, like I'm only going to ever shoot with bow ever again in my life. And then I missed 5 times in one day. And I was like, this is dumb. And I went and bought a 30-06. Well, this was that gun. And I'd shot it and it was sighted in. And I don't think you had shot it at that point.
No, I hadn't.
But I was like, the gun will shoot. And he's like, there was a spike and I tried to kill it and it didn't work. And so we figured it out. What the problem was, of course, that's the only deer you saw that morning.
Right. So I climbed out that morning. We ate lunch, and I was like, it's probably for the best. I'm glad I didn't kill a spike. Blah blah blah. Whatever. Life will go on. So then we moved to the big field. We're walking into the big field.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, and we're about halfway across, and we see 2 or 3 does. I think
I saw a doe. I was in front of you, right?
Yeah, you were in front of me.
I was in front of him, and over the tall grass, there's a doe standing in the food plot, like middle of the day, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And so I just stopped and I got down. Did you ever see it?
I think I did.
Well, I stopped. I was like, there's a doe in the food plot right now, but she was looking at me when we got down.
Yeah, that's right.
And I think I just put the gun on my shoulder and I was like, we're going to raise up. And if you see her, shoot her. And I'm just
she was gone.
Yeah, like I think I'm plugging in my ear and the gun's laying through here. And I'm just like rising up with him behind me. I'm like, do you see her? Do you see her? And he's like, I don't see her. And then I got back up and looked again and she wasn't there.
So I finally get to the spot I was going to sit that evening called the cemetery. And it was pallet blind, right? Mm-hmm. So there's 3 pallets and some brush in front of me. And so I'm sitting there and my view is I can see the food plot to my left. And then I can see a cut in the tall grass that goes down to where Sam's sitting. And he's sitting down in the bottom and he's texting me. This was, getting into the evening.
Could you see me?
No, I couldn't see you. But he texted me. He said, there's a deer coming right up that cut. And she's about to walk out. You're going to see her.
Yeah, because I'm in the very middle of the food plot in the big cedar tree, which I was in some early. It's like my favorite stand on the whole place. And have I ever killed one out of that stand? I don't think so. But you can just see a lot and it's cool. You see a lot of deer out of it. And I've just never shot one from there. But I'm sitting there again watching Netflix on my phone because I can't hunt. And I look up and there's a doe standing 10 yards in front of me eating in this little food plot by herself. And I'm like, of course, I get all these shots that I miss with the bow. And here I am on youth season when I can't kill one. There's one standing 10 yards from me. And she starts walking up that cut towards him. And I'm texting him like, hey, she's coming. I was like, look at that cut through. It's like, because she's close.
Yeah.
Oh, but
your phone died.
Your phone died.
No, I thought it was yours.
I think yours died.
Anyway,
I was watching Netflix, so mine probably died.
Yeah. I think yours did die. Because you were texting me.
And you kept saying, my phone's about to die.
No.
Maybe it was me.
You were like, she's coming right at you. My phone battery's low. And he's texting me. He's like, she's literally about to walk out of the cut. We're going to see her. So I'm like, okay. And that's the last text that I get. Because I think I was waiting on another text.
Probably. But before that, when she's walking up that cut, so it's kind of coming up out of the bowl up to where Christopher is, she gets halfway up that cut trail, and then she stops and turns around and starts coming back towards me. I'm like, well, that's not useful. And so I start blowing at her, trying to get her to turn back around and go the other way. So I start blowing at her, and she stops. And I've never tried to spook a deer that hard and one not spook. And she looks, and she's looking at the tree, and then she starts walking towards me. And I blow again, and she stops, and I'm like, go the other way. And I think I finally like stuck my arm out of the tree or something. I was like, hey, go. And she turned around and went up the trail.
Mosey's up. She walks up. So I'm sitting there, and I've got my gun up in this pallet blind, and I'm looking through my scope for like probably 5 minutes,
at least
5 or 10 minutes. I'm sitting here, and I've like other eyes closed, like I'm just looking. This is the only place that she could come out because all the other grass has grown up.
And so it's like 10 feet wide, maybe.
Yeah, and so I'm sitting there, and I'm just waiting. I'm like, she said she was about to walk out of here. Like, I don't know what's going on. So finally, I look over to my left, and she got up to the top of that cut, I guess, and cut through the tall grass and came out right on the other side of
the very far corner.
And then turned the corner where I couldn't see her anymore.
Because what I'm seeing is I see her getting close, and I can see Christopher, and I see him. He's on the blind, and he's looking. I'm like, oh, buddy. I was like, I'm going to watch her die in like 5 seconds. And she gets right to the top of that little rise, and she goes, and dips, and just dips into the tall grass. And like, oh, point, no.
One of our phones was dead.
So yeah. And so we can't communicate, and I'm just and I see, and all I know is that she's just cut through the tall grass, walking over here, and Christopher's just, and he did a good job of staying right on. I'm like, oh no, like no. But yeah, so that was a bust.
So we
strike one,
strike three,
strike 30 at that point.
Yeah, 3 or 4 on the day.
Deer wise 3, truck wise 4.
Yeah,
strike 4.
And so finally, we
were seeing a lot of deer that year in the big field that time, especially. I was like, you're gonna see more deer. I was like, there'll be more show up.
So yeah, so I sit there the rest of the night, and it's about to get dark, and I haven't seen any other deer.
You spooked 4 does.
That's right, I did. I forgot about that. 4 does came out, and I think I blinked wrong, and I
saw you move.
Oh well. To me, it felt like I turned my head like this, and they were all looking at me.
And it is hard because you're on the ground with them.
Yeah, and so they busted. And
I see 4 does come out, and they're milling around, and I'm looking at him like he's got to shoot soon. It's like surely, and then I see him just like. I think he like adjusted or something,
probably.
Like rolled his shoulder, and then all 4 of those does went boom, and they were gone. I was like, dadgummit. I was like, strike 5. I'm like, that's not good. So then it's close to dark.
And Sam, I think I'm trying to remember if I could see you or not. I don't think I could.
See me?
Yeah. Probably but I knew that you were going to be walking up soon, and I was ready to leave and obviously irritated. And so Sam, no, you got up to the other corner where we had parked, so I could see you walking to the truck to get the truck. Yeah. Okay. So I was like, okay, like I need to start getting ready. And so I got up. I was in a little folding chair, that goes in the bag. So I stand up, I put my gun down, and I'm sliding my chair together, and I'm putting it in the bag. Like I'm standing up, I've got the bag, and I'm like shaking it into the bag. It's so loud. Sam could probably hear me from 500 yards away. And I look over, and all I see is a body. The deer's just over the ridge of the hill. He's got his head down, and I'm like, well, you're crapping me. And at that point, I'd been nervous all day. Every time I was looking, I was all shaky. At that point, I was just livid. And so I just like kind of laid my chair down and popped my gun out, and just boom, I shoot, and I look over, and Sam's driving into the field.
Yeah.
And so I shoot, and I look over my scope, and I don't see him at all. Like,
and you saw horns right before you pulled the trigger. Right?
Yeah. So I assumed it was a doe. I wasn't thinking about it. And I looked through my scope. Yeah, I didn't care. And he looks up right as I'm about to pull, and I was like, "Is that a horn?" And so Sam gets to me and he's like, "Was that you?" And I'm just walking up the field because I couldn't see where
I was like, hey, was that you? Because from my perspective, I've made it back to the truck. I put what little pack I had in the back of the truck, get in, I'm driving into the field, and I was halfway between the entrance and the campsite.
Yeah.
I was like behind the stand that I've been, because I was spooking deer the whole way out. I had like 2 groups of deer blow at me when I was leaving. I was like, it's so stupid. Like, there are deer everywhere. Like, of course, this is the time I would see all these deer. And as I'm driving the truck, and like the radio's on, I'm playing music, the windows are up, I'm just driving, boom! I was like, crap. I was like, did he shoot? Like, that had to be him, but it's almost dark. I mean, like, that's why we were leaving. I was like, that had to be him. And then I pull up, and you're outside of the blind.
I'm walking like this.
And he's just like walking. I said, what'd you shoot? He said, it was a buck. I shot a buck. And he's like, I think he's down right here. And I'm like, shit. I hope so.
Yeah.
And then, because I'm looking up the food plot and I can't see anything. But sure enough, there was one little depression. And I just see him like double fist in the air, like, hang on, put the gun down. Like, put the gun down. And then we get up to it, and it was, what was it, 4.3? 3.
It was a little one, but
who
I
cares?
didn't care, yeah.
It was
before
so
this trip, because we were both young, I was obviously like 16, and you were like 19.
It was my freshman year in college.
I've been like, if we get there and I kill one, like, you know what to do, right? Because I obviously don't. And he was like, oh, yeah, I got this. We're all good. He said, I got my knife in the truck. Like, we're golden, so don't worry about that. And so he pulls up to the deer, and I said, you know how to do this, right? And I swear he looks at me and says, let me pull up this YouTube video and watch it one more time, and I'll be good to go. And I was like, this is really bad.
And then, well, yeah, because and I just didn't want to screw it up. And every time I'd ever field dressed one had been with somebody watching me or helping me. Because our dad doesn't hunt. He's never really been big in it. Now, he would take us and he would find places for us to go when we were young. But, and I mean, really, until I started hunting on my own, I'd only ever killed one deer and had gotten help field dressing it. And the 1 or 2 others I'd killed at this point, there was always some, either our uncle or Rose on the lease there to kind of make sure you were doing it right. And so I'd found this good Kentucky Field video, KY Field, that broke it down really easy. And I was like, I'm pretty sure I will be fine, but I just want to make sure. And the other problem was I didn't have any freaking knives.
Yeah, he didn't. He's like, my knife's in the truck, and it wasn't in the truck.
It wasn't in the truck. But what we did have, it was
the Walmart 3-pack pumpkin carving kit.
Yeah,
the little plastic handle and the little blade. That's probably about that thick.
Because my college freshman year girlfriend at the time, it was like the day after Halloween.
Yeah, it was.
And that's why I had it, because we carved pumpkins, not 4, and I just threw them in the door of the truck. And thank goodness I did, because there I am with that little bitty blade out there, real careful, splitting this deer down the middle and getting it was bad.
We did it.
And then this was before I knew how to quarter them out myself. And so we took it to a processor near Livingston. And so we dropped it off, and we're like, well, he didn't look at it like, what the heck did y'all do to that deer? So we figured we must be pretty well set. We're like, I guess it's all right if he didn't have anything bad to say about it. So that was funny.
That was a heck of a day.
That was.
For sure.
That was memorable in mostly good ways.
Yeah.
All good ways. The truck, we sold the truck with it.
The
front bumper still.
We did.
Bit all the crap. But yeah, that's the best story we have, I guess.
For sure.
We don't have any other successful hunting stories.
No.
Just a lot of cold sits with no activity, it seems like.
Yeah.
And you missed that one with Lance.
Yeah, I missed one with Lance.
Was that weekend? No, that was.
Yeah.
Was it? No, it wasn't that weekend. He missed one, and then because it wasn't youth season, because Lance killed it.
Mm-hmm.
He went once, and him and my uncle were sitting together, and a deer walked out, and you shoot, and it runs off, and it comes right back, and like
it was pretty close to dark, and I shot, and it ran off into the woods. It's kind of in a corner, and then we were about to leave too, and Lance looked at it. He's like, "Well, she's back." And I was like, "You take it." So he got it, and we went down the hill and dug her out. So.
He said, "You sure you want me to shoot? Because if I shoot, I'm not gonna miss." Which is typically true. But yeah, that was funny. That was That's probably our best hunting story for sure. Well, that'll be a good. That's a good way to wrap it up. So that's the kind of stuff I think would be fun to share, or stories that people have like that just that the world needs to hear because they're entertaining or they're fun or all sort. And maybe it's when something goes terribly wrong. I could tell you about the time that I totaled a truck and boat, but don't really feel like telling you about that right now.
Another story for
That's another
day.
story for another episode. But anyways, as far as other stuff going on with the channel, not a whole. Well, I mean, there is always a whole lot, but not any worth sharing. I did a little ultimate boat toolbox video today that will be up soon, probably right after this episode comes up. It'll be the next thing on the channel, where took some of the wedding gifts we had in the form of Home Depot gift cards and went and put together everything you would ever need if something breaks down in the boat. At least I think that's the case. Probably not. We'll find out when something goes terribly wrong. But yeah, I think that's all we got for tonight. So if you've got a story that you want to share, that you would allow me to share with everybody out there, well, send me either an Instagram DM, a Facebook message, or even just comment on the YouTube page if you're watching it on YouTube, and we'll get you on. It'd be a blast. It'd be fun. We could even do like where we got 4 or 5 different people calling in the same night and doing their stories. It'd be fun. We could zoom you in. You could come live on location in Knoxville. It doesn't matter. We just want you to be part of it. But anyways, fishing coming up. Probably gonna do a little bit of crappie fishing before the next bass tournament. That's the goal. We've got got Valentine's week next week. We got a first Valentine's Day married. We'll have to make a little trip and do something special for that. Didn't really have a honeymoon, so we're gonna go Valentining in Asheville, I think. Isn't that where y'all just went not too long ago?
Right after our wedding. Then we went to Greenville.
Oh, that's where you went. Okay, so we're gonna go to Asheville. Then the weekend after that, might do a little crappie fishing because we're a month out from the next tournament, Morristown Marine on Watts Bar, and probably won't spend more than a weekend before down there practicing. There'll be a lot changing that time of year. So, anyways, we'll see. We'll be fishing around, fishing all over the year 2021. All right. Thank you for watching. God bless you. Have a phenomenal morning, week, day, evening, whatever it is when you're listening. And thanks for checking out Fence Forest. You'll have a phenomenal day.